History remembers Nero as the emperor who fiddled while Rome burned. A madman, an arsonist, a tyrant watching his own city collapse into ash. But what if that image was engineered? What if the fire did not just burn Rome, but rebuilt Nero? Tonight, we are not asking whether Rome burned. It did. We are asking something far more dangerous. Who benefited from the story that followed? And before we go further, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments, because propaganda does not stay in one empire. It travels. And if you're new here, subscribe. Not for history, for power. Because this channel is about how power manipulates memory. Let's begin. In 64 AD, Rome caught fire. For 6 days and 7 nights, flames tore through the city. Wooden tenements collapsed. Temples crumbled. Smoke swallowed the sky. Ancient historians describe panic in the streets, families running, looters swarming, rumors spreading faster than the fire itself. And then came the whisper. Nero started it. Why? To clear land, to build a palace, to indulge himself. But here's the first uncomfortable truth. There is no contemporary proof that Nero ordered the fire. None. The primary sources accusing him were written decades later, by senators, by political enemies, by men who despised him. That doesn't make Nero innocent. But it changes something. It shifts the question from guilt to narrative. Because while Rome burned, Nero was not in the city, he was in Antium. When he heard the news, he returned. He opened his gardens to refugees. He organized food distribution. He funded relief. That part rarely gets emphasized. Why? Because chaos creates opportunity. And Nero understood something fundamental. Political survival depends on narrative control. So let me ask you this. If you were emperor, and your capital city burned, what would you do first? Fight the flames, or fight the story? Think about that. Comment your answer, because this is where the real story begins. After the fire, Nero began rebuilding, but not randomly, systematically. He introduced new fire codes, wider streets, stone construction instead of timber, urban planning reforms that actually reduced future fire risk. That is not the behavior of a man trying to destroy Rome. It is the behavior of someone rebuilding it. But here's where suspicion explodes. In the cleared land rose the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, a palace complex so vast it redefined excess. Artificial lakes, marble halls, gold leaf ceilings, a private world built atop ruins. And suddenly the rumor made sense. He burned the city. To build this, it is a perfect villain arc, too perfect. But here is the question no one asks. Did Nero create the fire to build the palace? Or did he use the fire to reshape his image? Those are not the same thing. Because the Domus Aurea was not just architecture, it was messaging. It said, I am powerful, I am untouchable, I am Rome. And here's the uncomfortable layer. The fire gave Nero something he lacked before, a crisis. And crisis justifies control. Modern leaders know this. After disaster, citizens crave stability. They tolerate authority. They accept expanded power. Was Nero incompetent? Possibly. Was he manipulative? Almost certainly. But now we enter the darkest chapter, because public anger needed direction. And that is where scapegoats emerge. Christians, a small misunderstood religious sect. Distrusted, marginal, different, perfect. Nero blamed them. Arrests followed, executions, public spectacles, human torches lining imperial gardens. The cruelty was real, the brutality documented. And suddenly, the narrative shifted. The fire was not imperial corruption, it was religious subversion. Nero transformed himself from suspect to protector. And here is where I want your opinion. Was this evil? Or was this political calculation? Comment one word, evil, or calculation, because the line between the two is thinner than we like to admit. Let's step back. What do we actually know? We know Rome burned. We know Nero rebuilt. We know he scapegoated Christians. We know later historians despised him. And we know something else. Every emperor after Nero worked hard to erase him. His statues destroyed, his name condemned, his memory officially damned. That matters. Because history is not written by witnesses, it is written by survivors. And the survivors of Nero's reign were not his allies. So when we hear the story of a mad emperor singing while Rome burned, we have to ask, who benefits from that image? The Senate? Yes. Later emperors? Absolutely. Early Christian writers? Certainly. Because Nero becomes the archetype, the monster, the tyrant, the symbol of persecution. But symbols are powerful, and powerful symbols survive longer than facts. Now let me challenge you directly. Stop believing that ancient propaganda is harmless. It isn't. It shaped Western storytelling for 2,000 years. It created the template for villainy. And here is the deeper truth. Nero may have been ruthless. He may have been narcissistic. He may have been paranoid. But the caricature of him? That was engineered. Just like the narrative of Cleopatra. Just like the narrative of so many figures, history flattens into villains. Because power does not just destroy enemies, it defines them. Now here is the psychological pivot. Why do these narratives stick? Because they are simple. Mad emperor burns city. Foreign queen seduces general. Decadent ruler collapses empire. Simple stories are digestible. Complex stories require thought. And thought threatens power. So narratives get simplified, polarized, weaponized. Nero was not just accused of burning Rome. He was framed as morally degenerate, artist instead of warrior, performer instead of ruler, effeminate, corrupt, weak. Those character attacks are not random. They reflect elite Roman values. They signal he was not one of us. And that is propaganda's oldest trick. Othering, strip someone of legitimacy, redefine their identity, repeat it. Wait, it hardens into truth. And here is the most uncomfortable realization. It worked. You believed it. Most of us did. Until now. So what is the final verdict? Did Nero start the fire? We do not know. There is no decisive proof. Did he exploit the disaster? Yes. Did he scapegoat minorities? Yes. Did his enemies later amplify every flaw into legend? Yes. So was he villain? Or strategist? Maybe both. And that is what makes this dangerous. Because power rarely operates in absolutes. It operates in incentives. Control perception, redirect blame. Build something monumental, outlive the scandal, until someone else rewrites the story. And someone always does. Now I want to ask you something more personal. Think about modern politics, modern media, modern crises. How often does disaster get reframed? How often does blame get redirected? How often does architecture, reform, or spectacle replace accountability? History is not what happened. History is what survived. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. Because discomfort means you're thinking. And thinking is how narratives lose control. If you've made it this far, you already understand something most people don't. This channel is not about ancient Rome. It's about power. It's about narrative warfare. It's about how rulers shape memory to survive catastrophe. If that interests you, subscribe, because we are not done. Next, we examine another ruler who turned scandal into survival. And before you leave, comment one thing. Do you think Nero burned Rome? Yes or no? I want to see the split, because the battle over history is still happening. And now, you're part of it.